Hello, welcome to the Reality Vomit Podcast, an extension of the Vomit series of podcasts. As always, I'm your host, Mac Taylor, and today we're going to be talking about some more Big Brother Canada 9, episode 17. We got that double eviction to be discussing. We're going to go from 9 to 7 as we start heading in to the final stretch here. Big Brother Canada 9. We don't have that much left. It's crazy. Feels like it's flown by. It feels like, but that's part of having a shorter season. We have 70 days instead of the American 90-something days. Also, we have a lower number of cast members, which makes it just a little more palatable. I like 14 people cast. I've decided with this season, maybe America should knock off maybe a number or two. Nevertheless, let's jump right in here because they crammed a double into a standard episode, which is fucking crazy to me that they did that. But nevertheless, we're going to talk about, as much as we can here as we, head into a new week. New week, who dis? Of BBCAN Season 9. So Vic, very confused why she became the new target. And again, when it comes to Jed and Ty, she probably shouldn't have. But when it comes to Beth, this makes sense. However, Beth has been so wishy-washy, so back and forth, that while this move is a good move, it still isn't doing that much for her because it's the guys can take credit for it because it's been so wishy-washy. And Beth is fangirling over her own move, which is a little much. Like, part of being able to be loved for making big move. This wasn't a big move on her part. She went back and forth all week. It was so annoying. But typically when a player makes a big move, they make it and they're like cold with it. And then we're like, yeah, get them. It's another thing when you make a move and you go, oh, dude, I'm so good. Oh, man, I'm so good at this game. Like, it's like, oh, okay, that's not really what we want to hear. So Vic beelines to Beth. It's a little awkward because everyone was like trying to hide from her. And she comes right there to try to plead her case. And, kudos to Vic, where a few people this season kind of took their ball and went home. The people like Austin, or waited until like literally the last fucking day to campaign. People like Kyle, who kind of just, the writing was on the wall and there wasn't much they were going to do. Like, there was a little campaigning. But, like, Vic's like, boom, here's another one. How about this? Here's this information. Look at this angle. I mean, she's just coming at him left and right, all right up until the final hour. And I commend people like Vic, like Josh, who just would fight till the fucking end. I commend that. But Beth tells Vic, hey, I heard you were saying my name. And Vic's like, well, yeah, I was playing both sides. I had to, like I said in the house meeting, like, hey, look, listen, hey, look, I said your name to people, but, I really wasn't gonna actually do that. Because, Vic knows, like, fuck, I've been caught, but, like, I'm still gonna try to play this off. And I respect Vic for that. And she's always had the boys' intentions. It's just she just doesn't have Beth's intentions in mind, And Tara, for some reason, even though we have like no time in this episode, we talk about the anniversary of Tara's brother's death coming up, and she wants to be HOH, on the anniversary of his death, which is a nice sentiment. But did we really need it on the episode, especially since it absolutely goes nowhere? But do we need it in an episode when we're crunching so much into 40, 45 minutes? Like, do we really need to put that in there? Does that need to take up the time? Could that have not just been something we saw on the feeds and then just talked about in the online community? Was that something that the casual audience necessarily needed in this condensed episode? Could we not have maybe touched upon that on Monday's episode? I don't know. Yeah, you leave it up to your interpretation. It's not a bad moment. It was a very heartwarming moment. Tara does not get a lot of those, and maybe that's why they felt the need to put that in there. because especially on the feeds, like Tara has not been the best person. And so maybe they were like, hey, we need to try to like smooth some things over with Tara. But I think they sacrificed a little bit of screen time we maybe could have got to especially show how wishy-washy the trio has been. We really, they've tried to make the HOHs seem like they're much more capable than they actually have been this season. But nevertheless, still pretty good stuff here. So Vic and the throuple want a house meeting to clear the air. And it basically becomes Tara and Ro versus Vic. Where she's like, where they're like, well, you were, running on this information. You told us that you were going to come after the throuple. She's like, yeah, but I was talking to you guys about, well, we never said that we would come after the throuple. And she's like, I was not having conversations with myself. I did not go into rooms and start talking to myself about taking out Jed and Ty and Beth. I'm like, well, yeah, we never confirmed to you. And she's like, I was playing both sides. Like, I was trying to get information. And Jed's like, yeah, but you didn't really run that information. You didn't tell us what you were doing. So how are we supposed to know you were doing that? And she's like, but I wasn't talking to myself. Like, they said it too. Ro's like, I never said that. And she's like, are you kidding me, Ro? You're trying to tell me you weren't coming after them? This is ridiculous. And I'm like, yeah, okay, true. And then Tara's like, well, you said I didn't deserve to be here. And she's like, you don't deserve to be here. And I'm like, oh, shit. It got real. And then they talk about Baggate, where that was kind of removed from the episode, but they talk about the throwing of Beth's bag. And that gets, real for a minute. But, most of this conversation is about game. Where a lot of things in Big Brother can get personal. This was all game. It was all strategy talk. The house meeting that blown up was just people's games getting blown up. I can respect that. I really respect Vic for putting it all out on the table. She didn't admit to everything. She still tried to play some cards close to the vest, the spicy vest, but she needed to really just be like, here's everything, but moving forward, I'm with you guys. I'm with the throuple. But because they're so wishy-washy, it still might not have even worked. But that was probably her best bet. But again, she tried everything, and I can really respect that. And the odd pause gets thrown out. And she's like, they're like, well, you came up with the oddballs. And she's like, I would never name an alliance such a stupid name. Even though she did literally make that name. So that was also really funny. But the throuple does believe Vic. They do believe that, all this, Vic was not talking to herself. These people were in on it, which is obvious. And Tara gets a little much with the guilt trip about, I would rather either be pre-jury and spend time with my kids or make it far. I shouldn't have to be in the jury house, not with my kids. And I'm like, I understand that you want to see your kids and everything, but don't use that as an excuse in the game. Own your shit, Tara. Just, play the game and try not to bring your family into this. It was a little sketchy. I was not a big fan of that. Then Vic does call her a bitch, though. Storms off. But that was the end of the argument, so at least they refrained from a lot of it during the actual fight. So Bray then tries to run damage control with the throuple because he's always with the throuple now because he doesn't have Austin anymore. But the trio's so back and forth, you never fucking know where they're going to go. But the jury is announced, and we get the vote, where it's a unanimous 6-0 vote. Spicy V meets the jury. And Arissa really hypes her up, calls her a legend. They have this nice sentimental talk. And then for some reason, it's almost like we got a word from our sponsors, where Vic's like, this game is totally not rigged. It's very, players make decisions and influence the game. I just surprised how real it was. because I think the whole feeds banana thing, where Vic kind of mentioned that production kind of, through their questioning, kind of tipped her off she was going up. And the whole house ended up on slop for the week because of it. So, I think the producer's like, listen, in your interview, just throw out there this game isn't rigged, because I think people are looking at us weird because we accidentally tipped you off. So it was very much like a disclaimer almost with her speech. It was a little odd there at the end. Nevertheless, good moment for Vic. Then we get the before or after HOH. Kief, the Grim Kiefer, going to be splitting them duos apart. He's HOH. And he nominates Roe and Bray for evictions. What he meant when he said splitting them duos apart, he accidentally added an S. He's the Grim Kiefer, and he's tearing that duo apart. That Kyle and Roe show, getting out the dodo from the Grim Kiefer. That's what he meant. That's what he meant all along. We've had it all wrong all season. He thought he was splitting duos. He's splitting duo apart. So, Roe, Bray, Tina, Ty, and Beth play the Stone Cold Veto, where they have to, do this little maze. They have to take the sword, guide it through the maze, and then take it out and win. Ty gets this very fast, so Ty wins his first comp of the season. He's, flailing the sword around. I'm like, Ty, be careful. I know it's a prop, but, shit. It's a big prop. It'd be like, you hurt somebody. We need Vic to come back, and I was also surprised to learn that Big Brother Canada is not liable for we've all signed waivers. I was waiting for that. I think Vic needs to be the spokesperson for the legal team now. Spicy V getting the spicy contracts. So Ty does not use the veto. The noms stay the same, and then we get the next vote. And again, another unanimous vote of 5-0. The Roe Show goes out the dodo. Becomes the second member of the jury. Oh, man. I was sad to see Roe go out the dodo, but the writing was on the wall here. If anyone in the thruple Kiefer section of the house was winning HOH, they were going to take a shot at Roe. If the other half was going to win HOH, they were going to take a shot at Jed and Ty. And it just fell the way it did. I was kind of surprised Kiefer didn't go ahead and take the shot. He said if he wanted to take the shot at the boys, it was going to be in the double. He gets the HOH in the double, and he doesn't pull the trigger. And I think, a little foreshadowing for what's to come. I think it's going to bite him in the ass heading forward. But nevertheless, that's kind of how the dice were rolled this week. And it's unfortunate for Roe. I thought Roe was a fun player, was definitely an underdog after, the way things have shaped up in this game. But if he can't win the HOH, you can't change the direction of the game. He won 3 vetoes in a row. That was very impressive. I think Roe and Vic are the two people from this season I could see returning. More so Vic. If they're bringing anyone back from Big Brother Canada 9, it's going to be Spicy V. But I could see Roe playing again. And I would love to see some of the pre-jurors play again, like Josh and Julie. There's potential all-star material here in the BBCAN 9 house. But nevertheless, we said goodbye to Spicy V and Roe. And heading into the next week, there is some spicy stuff stirring up. We'll talk about it on the Monday episode. I won't do any spoiler talk on this episode because there was the double and everything, and I didn't want to put too much on here on this recap. But, I was sad to see Vic go, but also at the same time, it kind of was really cementing this two-side thing. I was also kind of bumped Kiefer, even though he's my pick to win the game. Even though he won HOH, I was like, damn it, that means he's going to probably target Roe. And then the Roe Show went out the dodo. So, not the most exciting, double it could have been. But, I can't fault the thruple because they've been winning, whereas the oddballs have failed. First, we start off with a tribute to the late Nikki Graham, someone who not only graced Big Brother UK, but Big Brother Canada 4, which is the season that I watched first. So my first exposure to Big Brother Canada was with Nikki Graham. She is an excellent television personality. Seemed like a genuinely warm human being. And it's deeply saddening that her demons caught up to her here. Her complications of being anorexic had finally caught to her here. Gone way too soon, the great Nikki Graham. Meanwhile, Kief, riding high off the win. He did what he thought was his only goal, pretty much, in the house, is to take out Kyle and Roe. He did that. He's riding high off it. And Bray knows without Roe, he's in a bad spot because Roe is kind of his driving force in targeting the throuple. So now he's kind of lost again because I think we're seeing with Bray's game, he needs a duo. Like, he needs that other person. And when that person goes, he's lost and is kind of out there. So we also see that Vic's last-ditch effort was to toss Bray into the bus. So the throuple already didn't like him or trust him because he's taking away from throuple time. Because he's always with the throuple, they can't do their throuple things. So they're just annoyed with him already. But they don't trust him anyway. Beth also thinks she's a stone cold player. Thinks she is the baddest bitch. But what Beth does not know is that a lot of the credit for her move last week is going to be given to Jed and Ty because she made those decisions with them. She didn't make this all on her, even though it was, her idea and something that she put forward. They will get the credit because she let them wish-wash. She wish-washed with them and didn't just make the move as her own. So really, the only one who benefits from last week really now is Jed. So the Sunsetters gloating so hard over themselves. And Kief really hammering, we're the final four, us four, against the world. Greatest alliance of all time. And I'm like, no, not even close. Because, these guys are all like B-list players at best. And if they were in a normal season with some like A-list players or, A-level players, it would be very bad for them. Like, do you think Derek or Cody or Will or Dan or Vanessa Rousseau would have let these things happen? Hell no. Because these players are too wishy-washy to be able to go up against a mastermind and come out on the other end unscathed. They got lucky with their cast. And they played well. They've done well for themselves. I'm not saying that, the victory is unearned. But, let's not say we're the greatest of all time. You're not even close. So Tina hopes the Sunsetters, being a part of that group, can secure her a spot in the final five at least. Because she's losing all these comps in a row, so she's like, well, I guess, worst comes to worst, maybe I can just get to the final five. So Kief tells the Sunsetters, he knew Vic was HOH, which is why throw that info out, Kiefer? You could have kept that until later, when it didn't really matter, or at the end of the game when you could have used it as to why you should win. Everyone already pretty much knows that Vic was the invisible HOH, then she said it. But the fact that you knew all along, should have been info for you and Vic alone. But Kief just thinks he's in such a great spot with this group that this isn't going to come back on him, but he's very wrong. So Tara, Tina, and Bray, they feel defeated by the throuple, which I guess is why Bray's trying to join it. Whereas Tina and Tara are they're in a bad spot. However, the final seven, they do celebrate because, hey, they made it halfway to the game. Let's, who'd have thought we'd have been here? It's been a long road. So it's worth celebration. Particularly for the throuple, who are in the best spot moving forward. The throuple was also thinking of taking a shot at Kiefer. Braden is kind of like the obvious target for them this week if they win HOH. But they're like, Kiefer's building up a lot of momentum. Maybe because if we don't take a shot at him now, we might not get a chance to later. So, even though Kief thinks it's all locked up, it's not so clear cut. Not everyone's as loyal to the soil as Kiefer. So Beth is then talking to herself in a room like, it's clear. The writing's on the wall. We've got to go after Kiefer. It's got to be Kiefer. He's playing too well. I have to be stone cold. I have to make this move. And then she drops down and does one push-up. Now, they could have edited out other push. She could have done a couple and they just edited it to one. But still, it's comically hilarious that she's talking to herself for a few minutes and then just drops down and just pushes out one push-up. But he's like, it's clear. Kiefer's got to go. He's got to go. And I'm like, it's not a bad move for the throuple, honestly. Because they are right. But I feel a little bad for Kiefer. But at the same time, he should have taken that shot. He said to Tina a few weeks ago, I got to wait to the double to take a shot. You're HOH in the double. All you got to do, put Jed and Ty up. Because if Roe wins HOH right after you, he's going to put the other two that survived up. Kief could have really blown this game wide open, but he didn't. He stayed loyal to the soil, and that's probably going to be the reason that he's in some major danger heading forward. So Tara really needing this next HOH. And we get the ball pit blitz HOH, which is the first really physical and team-based HOH we've had so far. So bravo to BBCAN for really making everything pretty even for a long time. We didn't just bust out those physical comps the whole time. So you had to put white balls, and you had to go to the ball pit, find these white balls, put them in your tube. And you could also put red X balls in the opponent's tube, try to take away their points. And everyone, it's the throuple and Braden are all putting X balls in Tara's tube. And also, it's harder for someone like Tina, who is, everyone in the house is almost half her age. And she's got to sprint back and forth to this ball pit. Even toward the end, she's like, yeah, I'm clearly not getting this. And Tara's getting ganged up on, so she's clearly not going to get this. This does benefit alliances, these kinds of comps. But Bray's not even focusing on X balls for the most part. He's just trying to get the white ball. Really, what should have happened for the benefit of Bray's game is Tina and Tara should have been putting X's in the thruple's tube and also throwing white balls to Braden, trying to help Braden. Because Braden was close in this competition. He really was. And had they focused on working together, taking out Jed, be the Jed and Ty, whoever had the most on the boys, and not been focused, had Bray not somehow thought working with the throuple was a good idea, it could have been a good spot. Bray could have been HOH this week, and they could have taken the shot they needed to take for their end game. But for some reason, Bray just doesn't see it. So between Jen and Bray also finds glasses somehow. And they're Kiefer's glasses, and he doesn't even act surprised. He's like, "Oh, but my glasses?" You're like, "Yeah, did you lose these?" It was very, very weird. It's almost like someone planted his glasses in there. It was very huh? What? Glasses? My glasses? Very weird. Then Tara, noticing that it's been a gang up, she lashes out at the trio. So her back's to the door that they're about to come out of. She's like, y'all are a bunch of cowards. This is Big Brother, not Big Team. You can't win this game as a team, which she's half right and half wrong. You need to have alliances to get to the end, but no, there is only one winner at the end. That is true. Of all these big alliances, only a couple people really benefit from having them. But nevertheless, they're necessary to move forward. It's like a double-edged sword. So she's kind of correct, but also really wrong at the same time. But I get it. She's frustrated. I'd be frustrated too. It's understandable. This is one of the only times Tara's doing something that makes sense why she's pissed. So she's like screaming at them, and then Kiefer's like, "Don't call me a coward." She's like, are you competing, Kiefer? Am I talking to you? And he's like, "Well, I'm the only one else out here. Don't call me a coward." And she's like, "Well, they're going to take a shot at you next after I'm gone." And he's like, "They're not going to get the chance," which is like some major foreshadowing. And then he goes, "I'm going to win this game." And I'm like, what? Like, Keith, even if you are winning the game, like right now, as we heard from Vic and Roe and the jury, Keith's doing well. But you never tell the house you're going to win the game, because then they just like, well, let's just take this person out because they said they're going to win the game. And also, why are you, like, Tara wasn't talking to you. Why do you feel the need to come at her? And also, aren't you also working with her? It was very strange. So that happens. So she just gives up because she knows that the writing's on the wall here. And I can't blame her there. So the final score, Tara has 13, Tina has 26, Beth has 32, Ty has 33. Bray's score was not revealed, which kind of irked me. I wanted to know how close this was. But Jed had 64. Jed is the new head of household. And while the scores are being announced, Tara's still talking shit. She's like, "Okay, well, this game's a team, right? You know that, right? Guess what? I'm voting for Jed. He's got my vote because you all suck at this game." Like, it's like, oh my God. Like, she's really going for it right now. But again, I can't necessarily blame her, but it's like, not the best approach, but I get it. So it is, Jed's like, "Oh boy, please don't look at me right now." There's also no have-nots after the whole banana incident from V put everyone on slop last week. Everyone got a pass this week, since it was really unfair that they were all on slop. And then Jed said, "The isosceles triangle, otherwise known as the sauce." And I'm like, the sauce? When has anyone ever called it the sauce on at least the show? It might have come up on the feeds when I wasn't watching. But and also the sauce, it's so stupid. Granted, like, why not call a three-way relationship the sauce? But kind of dumb how we got there for my sauce-alies. It was like, that was a bit much. But nevertheless, the throuple stuff is fun. I'm having fun with it. So Tara tells Jed, "You have my point in my vote in jury." And he's like, "Hey, that's going to put a target on my back." And she's like, "It's not going to matter. You've had a target on your back this whole time." And I'm like, that is true. The throuple has been a target this whole game, and yet no one's fucking taking the shot. So, it probably won't matter that Tara makes it bigger. No one's going to hit it. It's a valid point. Tara says that, she would have put the trio up. And Jed's like, "Okay, well, if you were going to put me up, I should probably put you up then, right?" Like, at this point, Tara just gives no fucks. So, like, maybe you shouldn't have said he was going to go up. I think he definitely knew you would have put him up, but, like, you shouldn't have said that. But Tara's pissed, and I get it. So Jed gets a letter from his dad for being HOH. And Beth seems bothered that it's not the final three yet. Like, Braden's around and Kief's around. She's like, "I just want it to be me, Jed, and Ty in the end. Like, why do these people still have to be here? We beat them already." And I'm like, Beth, you've won one HOH. Calm the fuck down. Like, Kiefer's won more comps than you. Jed's won more comps than you. Maybe you tone it down. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not this, the throuple, while entertaining, the Sunsetters are not going to be like this grandiose remembered alliance. There's been plenty of alliances in Big Brother that have been successful that we don't really remember. Especially if we do remember the Sunsetters, it's because of how fucking wishy-washy they were and how, like, unnecessarily considerate they were of all the options. It's not going to be like, oh man, the Sunsetters dominated Big Brother again in the 9. That was some good gameplay. It's never going to be a conversation. At least I'll be having. So, Beth just needs to chill out a little bit. And Kief and Tina discuss kind of their spot. Tina's annoyed that she's going to be touching the block over, because of Bray and Tara that should go up in her mind. Like, if I'm such a valuable part of the team, why am I touching the block at all? And he's like, well, you a TNT thing. Everyone knows you're with Tara, so it makes sense you go up with her. Because, even though Tara is in the Sunsetters, she's number 5 in priority. So Tina wants Bray up with Tara because that's her only chance to try to win veto, pull Tara off, and keep them both safe. Jed talks to Tara, takes her to Wendy's, tries to smooth things over. Doesn't really do much because Tara complains because she had already eaten. So, even when she gets taken to Wendy's, she's still at everything. So, we had some, some sensible Tara stuff at the beginning. And now we go right back to nonsense complaining Tara. When they go to Wendy's, Jed gets a video from his sister. Good wholesome stuff there. TNT desperately try to get Bray on the block to have a chance here. And Tara kind of tosses Tina under as well. But, Tina kind of tossed Tara under. Like, you have to. We're getting at the point of the game. Like, you got to be self-interested. And I respect them for being self-interested. So Bray tries to get info out of the duo. It doesn't work. And everyone's like, yes, TNT is too dangerous. They're going up. And Jed says, if you're not in the trio, you're expendable. Which is going to be very true for this week. So Jed puts up Tina and Tara for eviction at the end of the episode, heading into the veto. But, they have a chance at the veto. And their target is either Braden or Kiefer. Tina and Tara aren't even the targets. So, there's still a chance TNT can make it out this week together. And and Kiefer is my pick to win the game. If Kief gets sent home this week, I've lost the draft of the season. And I would rather Kief go and me lose to have a hope that Tina and Tara can win HOH and, in the spirit of the Grim Kiefer, rip this trio apart. I hope that happens. But I don't know if it will. So, we're all on pins and needles away. So I'm going to be doing a little bit of some brief spoiler talk. If you don't want any of that, go ahead and jump out right now. I'll see you on the Wednesday episode. But if you would like some spoiler talk, then here we go. In 3, 2, 1, go. So, we all know from the feeds that Tara won her first comp, won the power of veto, took herself off. Kiefer went up. Kiefer is the target. There was a lot of talk about Bray being the target, and they decided to take a shot at Kiefer because when else are they going to have a shot at Kiefer? And like I said, I could respect this move. I really can. It makes a lot of sense. But if for some reason Tina were to go out, Kief be real pissed. But I really hope that Kief goes, Tina stays, because I want to see a shakeup. I want, Tina or Tara, because apparently Bray has gone all in on the throuple, which he didn't go all out say it. But just by what I'm seeing on the feeds and on the show, I haven't seen any signs of him working against them. And in the competition, he didn't work against them. So I'm really hoping that, he wakes up and doesn't expect to go to the Final Four with the trio. Because, all the good things I've said about him last week are, let's go ahead and throw those out the window and consider him toward the bottom of my list. Because, damn, We also know from the feeds that the throuple is very full of themselves, as is Kiefer. Kiefer had the soliloquy a while back about the flowers, and like thought, this game is locked up. I'm the greatest of all time. Kief had that thing in the mirror where he's like, "You did that. You did that." Like, and it's about to come crumbling down. Kief's gonna fall. King Kief's gonna fall from a very tall pedestal that he put himself on, and you love to see it. Like a player like V. V put herself up so high and got blindsided. Kief puts it all so high, also gets backdoored. And I hope the throuple has taken these couple of HOHs to eat their own alliance, only for someone else, someone like a Tina Tara, to win HOH and start knocking them down. Like, that would be such a fitting, back part of the season. Like, the Sunsetters just kept making the wrong moves. It kept taking out the wrong people, and I want to see it. Because Kief has been the guy that had been winning HOHs, and V had been winning HOHs at the right time. So now it's like, will Tina and Tara's moment come? I would love to see it. It hasn't been a whole lot going on this week in the feeds so much. There isn't a whole lot to talk about. Tina and Tara just know they gotta keep Tina in, and they gotta go after the throuple. That's really their only thing. And the alliance is, they're gonna waver. They're gonna think Tina. And they're like, well, what if we took Kiefer? Well, we should think about Tina. Oh, what about Kiefer? And whatever they talk about the last 20 minutes will be what they go for. So, this thing could be up in the air, technically. There'll be 4 votes this week. There'll be Tara, Bray, Ty, Beth. So the throuple makes up half the vote. But Braden will probably vote with them. So they control the vote. If they want Tina gone, they can send Tina home. But I really don't think they will. I really think, because why put Kief up in this situation if you're not going to take him out? Because what if he does win HOH and then it's like, well, fuck you guys. I'm expendable, so I'm putting you up. You never know. So that's going to bring an end to this conversation. Stay tuned for the Wednesday veto episode where we talk about more Big Brother Canada and Big Brother Canada feeds. Until next time, stay safe. Most importantly, stay nerdy.